Welcome. Our program is brought to you by the Columbus Consolidated Government's Planning Department and is an introduction to the contributions that planning makes to our community. Now, what makes a great community? Well, everyone has a unique answer to that question, yet we would all agree on some essential features, such as good housing, great neighborhoods, job opportunities for all, places to play, education opportunities, gathering places, a clean environment, a health and welfare system to serve our citizens, and a good transportation system.
At its core, a community is a place of shelter. Every person needs and deserves a sturdy roof overhead. A responsible community offers a variety of housing that suits a range of incomes, family sizes, and lifestyles. Housing not only provides a basic need, but creates the look and feel of a community.
A great community has inviting neighborhoods. Residential, commercial, and public buildings are sound and carefully tended. The infrastructure for drinking water, trash removal, storm and water management are well maintained. Streets are welcoming, properly lit, repaired, and graced by landscaping.
Great communities provide needed jobs and services. Now more than ever, communities are focused on sustaining their economies and preserving important services.
What about children? Well-designed communities have sidewalks, lawns, and neighborhood parks for play. Older children and teenagers have enjoyable places to gather during out-of-school hours and have choices for their leisure time. Education is a priority in the community and serves the needs of a modern-day world.
Just as important, a great community has a unique character that's expressed in myriad ways through building design, public art, street life, festivals, and markets. Community residents want to gather, celebrate, and contribute to community life, and they need pleasant places to gather. It's what makes them feel connected to here instead of there.
Would your measure of a good community include a protected environment? Would your community use resources carefully and recycle, reuse, and reduce waste? Many communities now consider promoting native species for landscaping, protecting native animals, and preserving open space as an important part of civic responsibility.
No member of a great community is left out. Seniors, children, the disabled, and the sick all have a place and are cared for. From accessible public transit to adequate services and hospitals, the community serves our needs.
No community exists alone. It's woven with others into the fabric of a city, a metropolis, a region, a state, and a country. How people move within and among communities has a big effect on the opportunities that are available to community residents and their quality of life.
A great community provides for the necessary movement of goods. All communities benefit from good roads for trucks, safe and efficient rail systems, sound bridges, and comprehensive communication systems.
How does planning make Columbus a great community? Great communities develop because many people contribute to making them good places to live, work, play, and do business.
Much of that good work comes from planning, something you might think of as city planning. So what is planning? Planning helps citizens shape their vision and their goals for the community. Planning helps communities identify their problems and the obstacles to achieve long-term goals. Planning interprets data and provides solutions to problems. It also provides a voice for citizens to express their concerns. Whether the issue is a lack of cultural or recreational facilities, planning helps put those issues on the agenda and helps create long-term solutions to those problems. How does it do this?
To begin, planning looks at the big picture and projects into the future, but how does planning create that big picture? It does it in several steps. Planning coordinates and interprets data to assess issues. Planners collect, organize, and interpret data that helps define issues and potential solutions. Other planning analysis focuses on data concerning health, population, housing, crime, jobs, travel patterns, and the environment, to name a few. Planning projects the future 5, 10, 20 years out, and takes the long view and projects into the future.
Comprehensive plans look out 20 years into the future to analyze how the community will develop. and provide direction for how to shape that change. Comprehensive plans involve all sections of the community in a planning process as the plan develops. The Columbus 2028 Comprehensive Plan can be found on the Planning Department's website, providing easy access to everyone. An example of the plan is shown here. Since large-scale projects may take years to complete, it is important for the community to take this long look at where they are and where they wish to be in the future.
Planning sets goals. Planning addresses specific problems. Planning also helps communities identify their current problems. The planning process is the way in which citizens identify their concerns and come together to establish goals for the entire community. It provides a voice for citizens to express their concerns over these problems. Whether the issue is neighborhood revitalization or transportation improvements, planning helps place those issues on the agenda and, in particular, helps create solutions to those problems over the long term.
Planning is collaborative. Planners may introduce new programs, but they work with many others in the implementation. Planners work with health professionals, engineers, architects, neighborhood organizers, elected officials, housing experts, and many others. Planners are often brought into teams to work on large, complex projects such as creating a new planned unit development or a new transportation project.
A successful community plan is broad-based and developed from the bottom up. When citizens are involved in the planning process, they are interested and invested in the plan's vision for the community they and their children will inhabit. But first, let's look at some other important participants in community planning.
Georgia state law establishes a framework for local planning that sets important ground rules. For example, it has established laws regarding zoning procedures and subdivision review, as well as regulatory bodies that are engaged in planning and planning oversight, such as the Regional Planning Commissions and the Georgia Department of Community Affairs. Next is the local legislative body, Columbus City Council. Although councilors aren't directly involved in the planning themselves, they have the authority to accept, reject, or change comprehensive plans, to make zoning decisions, to fund plans and plan projects, to appoint the members of planning and zoning boards and commissions, and to entrust planning with those boards and commissions as well as planning staff.
The Columbus Council has created 4 boards or commissions that fall under the direct guidance of the Planning Department. The Planning Advisory Commission is responsible for making recommendations to Council regarding rezoning requests and amendments to the Unified Development Ordinance. The Board of Zoning Appeals has the authority to grant relief to the Unified Development Ordinance regarding appeals of zoning regulations and decisions made by a building official. These appeals are referred to as variances. The Board of Historic and Architectural Review is the local historic commission and has jurisdiction over all historic districts, landmarks, properties, and property zoned as HIST. The BHAR has the authority to grant or deny certificates of appropriateness for alterations, modifications, or demolition of historic structures. It is also responsible for recommending proposed historic districts to the Council for adoption. The Uptown Facade Board provides and protects continuity in design and preserves the architectural integrity of the Uptown Columbus area. It also has the authority to grant or deny certificates of appropriateness.
In most communities, entities other than the local government make plans too. These might be neighborhood associations, the Chamber of Commerce or other business affiliations, nonprofit associations, environmental and other advocacy groups, or big institutions like hospitals or universities. Each one plans for a specific geographic area, economic sector, or other special interest. A good local planning department works with these bodies to obtain their input and guarantee that their plans harmonize as much as possible with the community's comprehensive vision. Of course, state and federal government agencies also have significant impacts on local planning.
Local plans and decisions have to accommodate statewide plans for transportation, environmental protection, and other matters. Likewise, federal legislation and regulations issued by agencies and departments as varied as the Environmental Protection Agency, the Department of Transportation, and the General Accounting Office comprise another set of rules that local planning bodies must consider and obey. In addition, communities must plan in accordance with the federal acts concerning fair housing, religious and institutional uses, and people with disabilities. The United States Supreme Court also affects plans through its review of legal challenges measured against the United States Constitution. Many aspects of land use regulation and certain specific issues such as signs have resulted in Supreme Court rulings that apply across the country.
How can I get involved in making my community a better place to live and work? We hope you've been inspired to want to improve your community. Now that you understand how planning can identify and achieve your community's goals, you're probably asking, what can I do to help? Where do I begin?
The first step is to stay informed, become knowledgeable about local issues. Go to various government and community websites and read the local newspaper to discover what's happening in your own backyard.
Participate. Get involved in your local planning activities. Attend Planning Commission meetings, City Council meetings, and hearings. Get to know your local planners and officials.
There are many ways to participate in your local planning process. These range from simple involvement, such as completing and returning a survey, to a major commitment, including volunteering for service. All forms of participation are valuable.
If you don't want to get involved in the decision making, there are so many other ways to contribute to making your community a great place to live and work. What are you interested in? Most communities offer myriad volunteer opportunities, including youth engagement programs. You can also help in your parks, schools, or senior centers. However you volunteer, you're contributing to making your community a better place. Planning is a comprehensive approach to identifying a community's vision and goals, assessing its problems, and proposing solutions that help all members of the community. How can you help your community plan for its future?
Identify a problem. What problems do you see in your community? Are your roads too crowded? Is your air unhealthy? Are your charming older buildings disappearing? Is there a lack of jobs, of recreational opportunities, of natural beauty? By participating in local planning efforts, you can ensure that this goal stays in the forefront of the planning process.
Suggest solutions. How do you come up with solutions? Start by researching your problem. Seek out organizations that specifically relate to your interest, such as housing, land use, landscape architecture, and so on. Get ideas from other communities and think about whether they can be adapted to yours.
If a solution seems feasible, mention it to your planners. If you participate regularly in your community's planning process, you'll be in a good position to suggest solutions. You can do this through survey responses, being at meetings, and in charrettes. Stay informed about public meetings and their agendas. Be sure to attend meetings in which your problem is being discussed.
So, where are we going? How can planning get us there? While planning can help solve problems, it is seldom a short-term fix. Planning requires carefully coordinated work, which can take time. Planning is ongoing and may involve many plans, both small and large, to complete the work. Often new leaders, new experts, and a new generation of citizens carry on the work, redefine the issues, and continuing to implement a long-range dream. Great places and great communities evolve over time, and they come about through a commitment to planning. We have taken you today on a tour of planning within our community to show how you can help make your community a great community. Planning produces better communities. This is Rick Jones. Thank you for joining us today.